Welcome to TVAI, where today we bring you a major breaking news story that is shaking Southeast Asia to its core. A devastating earthquake, one of the strongest in recent history, has struck Myanmar and sent shockwaves across the region, toppling buildings in Thailand and rattling cities in southern China. The magnitude 7.7 quake has left behind a trail of destruction, death, and uncertainty as emergency services scrambled to respond to the unfolding catastrophe. It all began on the evening of March 28th, just before sunset, when residents of Mandalay, Myanmar's second-largest city, felt a sudden, violent jolt. The earthquake, which originated approximately 65 kilometers northwest of Mandalay at a shallow depth of only 10 kilometers, triggered immediate chaos. Buildings swayed, windows shattered, and terrified residents poured into the streets as the ground beneath them buckled. The shallow depth made the tremors even more destructive, with cities and villages located near the epicenter facing the brunt of the devastation. In Myanmar, the situation is dire. Preliminary reports indicate that more than 140 people have lost their lives, with hundreds more injured and an undetermined number still missing beneath collapsed buildings. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble, and key infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and power lines has been severely damaged or completely destroyed. Mandalay itself, a city known for its cultural landmarks and bustling economy, is now marked by scenes of destruction, with iconic structures reduced to ruins and countless homes flattened. Naypyidaw, the nation's capital, also experienced severe tremors. While the capital is more modern and its buildings are constructed to higher standards, several government buildings, schools, and residential complexes sustained significant damage. Hospitals are overwhelmed, treating a surge of injured residents, while smaller towns and villages closer to the epicenter have fared even worse. In areas where building codes are less strictly enforced, entire communities have been decimated. Eyewitness accounts describe homes collapsing like houses of cards and entire streets buried under debris. With communication lines cut off and roads rendered impassable, rescue efforts in these areas face immense challenges. Helicopters and military units have been dispatched to provide aid and conduct search and rescue operations, but many fear the worst as nightfall and continuous aftershocks hamper efforts. However, the earthquake's effects have not been limited to Myanmar. In neighboring Thailand, particularly in the capital city of Bangkok, the tremors were strong enough to cause widespread panic and substantial damage. Bangkok, despite being hundreds of kilometers from the epicenter, experienced swaying skyscrapers and ground-level tremors that lasted for more than 30 seconds. Tragically, a 30-story building under construction collapsed entirely, resulting in at least 8 confirmed deaths and dozens of others missing. Search and rescue teams are still combing through the rubble, racing against time as aftershocks continue to threaten already weakened structures. The people of Bangkok, already familiar with periodic tremors, described this earthquake as unlike anything they had experienced before. Social media has been flooded with dramatic footage showing buildings swaying, people running for their lives, and rescue workers pulling survivors from the wreckage. Major transportation systems, including the BTS Skytrain and MRT subway, temporarily suspended operations for safety inspections, causing widespread disruption across the city. The tremors were also felt further north, in the city of Chiang Mai and its surrounding areas, where damage has been reported to several ancient temples and cultural sites. Many of these historic structures, some of which date back centuries, have sustained cracks and partial collapses. Local authorities are now working not only to protect human life, but also to safeguard Thailand's rich cultural heritage, which has suffered significantly from this seismic event. In China, residents in the southwestern province of Yunnan, which borders Myanmar, also reported strong tremors. While damage in China appears to be less severe compared to Myanmar and Thailand, the psychological impact has been considerable. In cities such as Kunming and Dali, people rushed outdoors, fearing the collapse of buildings. Schools and workplaces were evacuated, and emergency protocols were swiftly enacted. Authorities have reported minor structural damage to some buildings and public infrastructure, but thankfully, no fatalities have been confirmed so far. In response to the disaster, the Myanmar government has declared a nationwide state of emergency. President Myint Naing addressed the nation late Friday night, acknowledging the scale of the devastation and urging citizens to remain calm as emergency services mobilize. International aid organizations, including the Red Cross, UNICEF, and several neighboring countries, have pledged immediate support, dispatching rescue teams, medical supplies, and humanitarian aid. Thailand's Prime Minister also issued a public statement, expressing solidarity with the people of Myanmar and confirming that Thailand will assist in rescue and recovery operations. Meanwhile, Bangkok's local government has declared a temporary state of emergency in districts most affected by the collapse and infrastructure damage, and hospitals have been placed on high alert to handle potential surges of earthquake-related injuries. As the situation continues to develop, seismologists are warning of the likelihood of additional aftershocks, some potentially powerful enough to cause further damage. Since the main earthquake struck, at least 4 significant aftershocks, including one measuring 6.4 on the Richter scale, have already been recorded. Experts caution that aftershocks could persist for weeks, prolonging the region's anxiety and complicating rescue and recovery efforts. Internationally, the earthquake has prompted widespread concern, with countries around the world offering condolences and pledging support. Global humanitarian organizations are preparing for a large-scale relief operation as the number of homeless and displaced continues to rise. Temporary shelters, food supplies, and medical assistance are urgently needed, especially in remote areas of Myanmar that remain cut off from the outside world. For Thailand and China, this earthquake serves as a chilling reminder of the region's seismic vulnerability. Both countries have historically experienced significant earthquakes, and this event will likely lead to renewed discussions about improving building codes, strengthening emergency response systems, and increasing public awareness of earthquake preparedness. The human toll of this disaster is undeniable. Families have been torn apart, entire communities have been displaced, and the emotional scars will linger long after the rubble has been cleared. Survivors now face the daunting challenge of rebuilding their lives amidst uncertainty, grief, and the looming threat of additional aftershocks. In the days ahead, much will depend on the speed and efficiency of the rescue efforts. Every passing hour is critical, as those trapped beneath collapsed buildings cling to hope. Emergency crews, both local and international, are working around the clock to locate survivors and deliver aid. The resilience of the people of Myanmar, Thailand, and neighboring regions is being tested like never before.